Nintendo might finally be ready to pull the trigger on something I've personally been waiting years for. Wii and DS games on the Switch 2. And look, before we go any further, yes, this might be a rumor, nothing is confirmed, Nintendo hasn't said a word. But the smoke right now, it's starting to feel a little too thick to ignore. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Controller Culture. Today, we're talking about the possibility, and a very real possibility, that Nintendo is preparing to bring Wii and Nintendo DS libraries to the Nintendo Switch 2 through Nintendo Switch Online. And I'm not just covering this because it's trending. I'm covering this because I genuinely want this to happen. So let's break this down properly. So the conversation started gaining traction after insider chatter from Special Nick and Necrolipe. Now listen, insider culture is messy. Some people hit, some people miss. You just always have to keep your expectations in check. But what made this interesting wasn't just that one person said it. It's that multiple sources are hinting that Wii and DS are in the cards for Nintendo Switch. Possibly exclusives tied to the newer hardware, similarly to how GameCube has reportedly been handled. And that detail matters, because if Nintendo is walling certain legacy systems behind the Nintendo Switch 2, that tells me they're thinking bigger than just drip feeding nostalgia. That tells me they see legacy content as part of the platform's long-term value. Now, let's talk DS first. Apparently, the idea floating around is some kind of dual screen solution. Maybe you use your original Switch as a second display. Maybe Nintendo develops software-based split-screen vertical mode. Or maybe there's a companion accessory. Is it complicated? Absolutely. Is it peak Nintendo energy? Also yes. This is the same company that gave us the Wii remote. The same company that built an entire generation around 2 screens and a stylus. If anyone is going to figure out how to modernize DS functionality in a weird but charming way, it's them. And let's be honest, the DS catalog is insane. We're talking Pokemon handheld in its peak. We're talking classic Zelda handheld design philosophies. We're talking experimental Mario entries. We are talking about generational RPGs. That era wasn't just strong, it was creative, risk-taking, weird, ambitious. If Nintendo unlocks that library properly on Nintendo Switch, that's not just nostalgia, that's preservation. Now let's pivot to the Wii. Yes, technically we can already play Super Mario Galaxy through 3D All-Stars or Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, but that's one piece of the puzzle. Now imagine if Nintendo goes further than that. Imagine a Wii Sports rebuilt through modern Joy-Con tracking without needing a sensor bar. Imagine finally having The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess easily accessible on modern hardware without begging for that HD remaster in every single direct. Imagine Red Steel, Mario Strikers Charged, Metroid Prime 3 in its original motion format, the weird stuff, the chaotic stuff. The Nintendo Switch Joy-Con are more capable of handling motion input at this point. The technology is miles ahead of 2006. You don't need a sensor bar anymore. You don't need to recreate the Wii exactly. You just need to reinterpret it. And that's the key word, reinterpret. Because if this happens, Nintendo has an opportunity to redefine experiences instead of just dumping ROMs into an app. Now here's where that gets layered. This rumor isn't happening in a vacuum. There's heavy talk about Pokemon nostalgia right now. Specifically that Pokemon Fire Red and Pokemon Leaf Green could hit the eShop individually on Pokemon Day. And if that's true, that suggests something bigger. The Pokemon Company has its 30th anniversary approaching, and they've been spending big. Marketing has ramped up and is clearly a nostalgia push building. If Pokemon leans into legacy releases, why wouldn't Nintendo do the same? Imagine this scenario. A big Nintendo Direct. A new 3D Mario is announced. The future is secured. Then Nintendo says, later this year, Wii and DS are coming to Nintendo Switch Online exclusively on the Nintendo Switch 2. That's not just fan service. That's ecosystem strategy. Because here's the reality. Nintendo loves the drip feed model. It took forever for Game Boy Advance to hit NSO. It took even longer for GameCube to even be a part of that conversation. Nintendo spaces these releases deliberately to maintain engagement. So realistically, I don't think Wii and DS drop tomorrow. But I also don't think this rumor is random. Nintendo Switch 2 needs early identity. It needs value differentiation from the Nintendo Switch. And locking more advanced legacy systems behind the new hardware does exactly that. It tells the consumers, this isn't just a slightly better Switch. It's the next evolution of the Nintendo ecosystem. And personally, I grew up on the Wii. I lived on the DS. I remember the chaos of motion controls in a living room. I remember flipping open my DS on road trips. I remember dual screen boss fights that felt revolutionary at the time. Those experiences are stuck on aging hardware right now. And I don't want them remade. I don't want them reimagined. I want them preserved, accessible, organized, part of a structured service that grows over time. That's what makes this rumor exciting to me. Not just the nostalgia, but the legitimacy. The idea that Nintendo is slowly building a full archive of its history under one roof. Now, could Nintendo hold this for 2027? Absolutely. They could separate the Wii and DS into different years to stretch engagement, very likely. But if they surprise us and accelerate the timeline, that tells me they are confident. That tells me they want the Switch 2 to dominate early. And honestly, I hope they do that. Not instead of new games, not as a replacement for innovation, but alongside it. Give me that brand new 3D Mario. Give me that new IP. Give me modern ambition. And then, let me revisit the eras that made me fall in love with Nintendo in the first place. That's balance. That's value. But now, I want to hear from you. If Nintendo announces Wii and DS for Switch 2, are you all in? Or would you rather they put 100% focus on brand new experiences? Is this nostalgia done right, or is it a distraction? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And subscribe if you're new here. We got a lot more Nintendo Switch 2 speculation, analysis and deep dives coming. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.